In a previous video, we looked at the NetSuite Fulfillment Request feature, which allows you to ship orders directly from your store locations. But what if you need to provide a way for customers to pick up their orders directly from your retail locations? The Store Pickup feature allows you to do that. Let's take a look at how to set up and configure the NetSuite Store Pickup feature. The NetSuite Store Pickup feature provides your customers with a cost-effective way to collect their orders while also bringing more people into your physical locations. This feature can be used either on its own or with the Fulfillment Request feature. If you do not have the Fulfillment Request feature enabled, then you'll create store pickup fulfillment records directly from sales orders. If you are using the Fulfillment Request feature, however, you will have an intermediary record to work with. NetSuite recommends using Fulfillment Request and Store Pickup together, so that is what we will focus on. There are several key steps involved in setting up the NetSuite Store Pickup feature. Let's take a look at how you would do that. First, you'll need to enable the Store Pickup feature. You can find this feature under the Shipping and Receiving section of the Transactions tab in Enable Features. You will also need to enable the Pick, Pack, and Ship feature, as well as the Fulfillment Request feature. Next, configure your locations for Store Pickup. This is as simple as going to your retail location records and marking them for Store Pickup. To do that, navigate to your list of locations, Setup, Company, Classifications, Locations. From the list, open a retail location in edit mode. Under the Store Fulfillment tab, select the Allow Store Pickup box. You can also enter business hours for this location under the Business Hours tab. Then, when you're finished making your adjustments to this location, save the record. Next, double-check that your items are configured for Store Pickup. By default, items will already be marked for Store Pickup, but you may still want to verify that before adding items to orders. Navigate to the list of items, Lists, Accounting Items, and open an item in edit mode. Review the location sublist under the Purchasing/Inventory subtab to ensure that the Allow Store Pickup checkbox has been checked. Items that have not been marked for Store Pickup will not be available for Store Pickup fulfillment. When you're using the Store Pickup feature, you'll need to be able to select and/or view the fulfillment choice and location for items on sales orders. To customize your sales order form, navigate to Transactions, Sales, enter Sales Orders, select the Customize link in the top right, and choose Customize Form in the dropdown. Name the custom form something memorable, then scroll down to the Sublist Field subtab. Under this subtab, select the Show checkbox next to the Location and Fulfillment Choice fields. You may also want to enable the Fulfillment Choice field on sales order records. This will allow you to make a single selection that applies to all items on the sales order, rather than needing to individually select your preferred fulfillment choice for each item. To do that, select the Show checkbox next to the Fulfillment Choice field under the Screen Fields subtab. When you're finished, save the form. Once you've set everything up for Store Pickup, how does the Store Pickup workflow function? Let's take a look. First, create a sales order. Transactions, Sales, enter Sales Orders. Select the sales order form you customized for Store Pickup. Then, fill out the necessary header level fields, including the customer and date. Then, under the Items subtab, add items to this order. You will also need to decide how you wish to fulfill these items, either by shipping or by Store Pickup. Use the Fulfillment Choice dropdown to make your selection. This will update the Fulfillment Choice column on each item. But if you need to select different fulfillment options for your items, you can bypass the drop-down field and just make your selection on the individual line items. You will also need to select specific locations for each of the items using the location column on the line items. Make sure the locations you select are properly configured for Store Pickup, then save the record. To create the fulfillment request, open the sales order you just created and select the Request Fulfillment button at the top. Then, on the Fulfillment Request to be generated page, select the Fulfill checkbox next to the items that you want to be on the fulfillment request record. In addition, make sure the status dropdown is set to New, not in progress. Store employees will mark the fulfillment request as being in progress when they have accepted the request and are prepared to fulfill the order. Then, save the page. When store employees receive a fulfillment request, they can mark the order as being in progress by selecting the Mark in Progress button at the top of the fulfillment request. This is how a store acknowledges that they have received and plan to fulfill the order. Next, the in progress order needs to be fulfilled. On the fulfillment request record, select the Fulfill button. This will generate a store pickup fulfillment record. The store pickup fulfillment record has two statuses, picked and picked up. When a store initially creates a store pickup fulfillment record, the employees will mark the status as picked to identify that the order is ready to be picked up. Then, when the customer arrives to collect the items in the order, the store employees will change the status of the store pickup fulfillment record from picked to picked up. The NetSuite Store Pickup feature provides greater flexibility to you and your customers in how orders are fulfilled. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let us know by hitting the like button. And to learn more about how SuiteRep can help you with all of your NetSuite needs, visit us at SuiteRep.com.